And are we good here? Yes. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So I'll run really quickly through the analogy that I was talking about in terms of it being like really like wasteful for there to be a results-based approach to learning animation. What I see constantly is people, and this is why we get into animation. We think like, oh, I want to work at Pixar, I want to work at DreamWorks or Disney or whatever, and we look at Disney Pix Dream Works animation, and we think to ourselves like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. I am not an animator until I can do that, so let me try to do that, and then I will be an animator when I'm done. And that's like the most frustrating way to go about learning animation, because anything that is worthwhile has component skills that the end result is much greater than the sum of its parts. Okay? So if you try to go for the end result like head on, you're just going to end up frustrating yourself. All right? So a good example is, I like to use this example of a sniper. Okay? Let's say you want to be a military sniper, and I like to use that because we both make shots, right? Great. Okay. So if you're a military sniper, your job is to, just like an animator, whenever you're given a shot, you have to make that shot. Okay? No matter what it is, right? There can't be like, something that surprises you or something that like you sit down. This is for an animator or a sniper. We're maybe not sit down as a sniper. Anyway, let's not get too detailed. It breaks down pretty quickly. But at any rate, so you give something to somebody and there can't be like this surprise. Oh my God, I'm not sure if I can make this because I've never done it before or whatever. If you are so sure that you can't do it because you've never done it before, that means that your workflow is not good enough. Because your workflow should be able to take anything that you put down on top of it, right? So if you're a military sniper and you know this is what you want to be, and you get on the bus and then you get off the bus at the training camp, and then the first thing you do is you get off and you're like, okay, I want to be a sniper, and I know that they can hit a target that's 3 inches wide from a distance of 1,000 meters, a kilometer away. That's what they can do, all right? And that's what I want to do. So I just get off the bus, first day, all right. Where's my gigantic rifle and where's this target a mile away? Someone show me, all right? And then how long would it take? Just think about it for yourself. How long would it take you, if you want to be a sniper, not an animator, how long would it take you to learn how to hit something this big, a kilometer away, if on the first day and for every day after that, all you tried to do was you got off the bus, got the gigantic rifle, put it on the ground, lay down, and just started shooting at it? You would never, right? You would never learn how to hit that every single time, right? So what do they actually do? They take you off the bus. First thing you do is you clean the latrine. All right. Second thing you do is you run 10 miles. And then after that, what do? You start running all the time. Why? Because the job of a sniper is to not only just make that shot, is to be able to make that shot under a lot of different physical stresses. Okay? You might have to run to your target. Okay? So you have to be in that physical condition. Once you're there, you have to be able to calm yourself down. So you have to be able to control your breathing, and you have to be able to control your heart rate. All right? You have to be as in tune with your body as to be able to know when your heart is beating, because the difference in the pull of your trigger in between heartbeats and not might be the difference between missing your target or hitting your target at a distance of 1,000 meters. All right? I've heard from some people that have some knowledge on stuff that they do these crazy drills. They do insane drills. Like one of them is they take the scope off of their rifle and they hold it up to the orbital bone, and the sergeant walks up and down the line, banging his hand into that scope. Right? The first couple days, obviously you get this gigantic black eye, but after a few weeks, you can start taking that. And you can't close your eyes. You have to have your eye open while the sergeant is banging the scope into your face. Why? Because when that rifle goes off, if you close your eyes or you flinch at all, you won't be able to see if you hit your target. And if you miss your target on the first shot, you have to be eyes open to see the adjustment that you have to make to hit it on the second shot. Okay? These are all components that go into making a sniper. All right? These are all things that you have to know and you have to be really good at to be a sniper, to make that shot every single time. All right? Now, imagine you got off the bus and you did all this stuff. All right? You were running 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 10, 15, 20 miles a day. Once you're done that, you not only with your physical conditioning, you started with a 22 caliber rifle, which is like a pea shooter, and then you went up to a 30 cal, and then a 45, then maybe a 50 caliber rifle, which is the one that can actually fire a bullet, over a mile away. Okay, you went up through the sort of difficulties and idiosyncrasies of those kinds of challenges. Okay, and you were drilling and you were practicing. All right. Now imagine after the months of training, you're able to run as far as you need to go. When you get there, calm yourself down, feel your heartbeat, adjust for all of the factors like the temperature, the wind speed, elevation, all these things, and take a shot and hit a target this big, a kilometer away. And the only thing that you had told yourself at the beginning of this was, I want to be a sniper. All right? Imagine that guy. That seems like or girl. That seems like a pretty committed person that did what it takes and now has achieved their goal of being in the position to do what they want to do. What do they have? They have a very strong workflow, don't they? All right? Because they're doing what they need to do in order to make that shot. Now, remember again, that ding-dong that got off the bus and was like, all right, where's this target? Let me get the biggest gun. I've never shot anything before in my life. This thing looks good, though, right? I don't want that little, that little pea shooter. Give me this one, all right? Now, where's that target? Well, it's 1,000 meters that way. Really? Oh, okay. Well, here we go. All right, guys, I'm going to be a sniper soon. Pew! All right, and then just shoots. I contest that person would never be a sniper, ever. You couldn't ever be a sniper if that's what your training was. Yet, most animators decide they want to be animators by seeing Pixar quality animation and on day one, sitting down, starting to try to make those kinds of shots. Instead of drilling and practicing the component parts of a workflow that will get you there. And the best part about workflow is you don't actually have to like see inside. You don't actually have to kind of know what's going on for it to benefit you. It's almost like the Karate Kid. Everyone's seen the Karate Kid? Mm-hmm. Everyone's seen it? Okay.
Which one?
The new Karate Kid. Hillary Swank, tiger pose. Okay. So lame. In fact, although that was not as lame as the movie. I mean, the movie was even worse.
The multiple vision for the win.
Yeah. It's almost like the Karate Kid. Right? Well, Daniel, right, had to, he wanted to learn karate. He said, please teach me karate. And then, obviously, Mr. Miyagi had him doing all this, meaningless stuff, right? Paint fence, wax the car, and he didn't want to do it right. He's like, no, wax on, wax off, right? And then finally, after weeks of this, Daniel's so pissed off, and he says, no, I just want to learn karate. And then what does Mr. Miyagi do? He throws a punch, and immediately, because of muscle memory, he goes, Daniel's like, wax on! And he throws a punch, right? And just out of muscle memory, he's like, ugh! And he blocks the punch perfectly. He does it perfectly. He didn't even need to know that he was practicing a component part of the workflow in order for it to benefit him, right? All that time he was actually building a beautiful karate workflow, all right? Animation can be the same way. It really can. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is how to start seeing how iterative your workflow is right now and work on that. Just work solely on that. Drilling that little piece of workflow, which will make you guys a lot like super faster. Like ultra super faster. Okay? Fantastic. We all on board? Cool. All right, so I brought some Altoids. You guys have Altoids here? No, the Curiously Strong Mint? No? They're not curiously strong to me anymore. My curiosity has waned. Just peppermint oil. But anyway, I really love them. And so if I ask a question and you get it right, I'm going to throw an Altoid at your head. Just please be aware. All right. So let's make sure things are looking good here. Let me just check OBS. All right, great. Okay. So what a lot of people think. So we all got into animation because we have good taste. We all have like something that like really excites us about animation. We see good animation. We know the difference between good animation and bad animation. We all want to make it. Okay. So analogous to how we all just like started trying to learn how to animate by making Pixar quality stuff, there's also this weird kind of perception of how. Do I have sketchbook on here? Oh yeah, buddy. Of how the best animators in the world somehow work in a straightforward approach. I don't mean the difference between straight ahead and pose to pose. I mean like a straight approach, meaning this is where their shot starts, and this is where their shot ends, and to get from here to here, they take one perfectly placed step in front of another, all right? That might seem like it is like the ultimate workflow. That might seem like the best in the world know exactly how to do that, but it's not. The only difference between us and Glenn Keane, or this is any medium as well, by the way. This is not just 3D. The only difference between us and the absolute best animator in the entire world is that they can actually see 10 versions of an idea in the time that it takes a normal person to just do one. Okay? And then what they do is they just judge the idea based upon the quality of it that's in front of them. They do very little work in their head. And beginner animators do so much work in their head. They think that by thinking about it and by like trying to animate like in their skull, that like when they're done, like whatever seems like it won out in terms of the ideas is the one that they should try. And then they try to emulate this straight across path. And what you end up doing is you end up going like this. And each one of these like little steps might seem like it is a good step to make because it's going towards the goal. But once you start getting a little bit off track, the amount of time that it takes for you to like correct and overcorrect and whatever, these are all like, when I was teaching like online, like this would be like week to week, and there's just not enough weeks in the year for you to ever get back on track and get back to where you need to go. Okay, we need to be confident. We need to not be tentative. We need to be extremely strong with our choices. And what that means is that you need to go as fast as you can in one direction. And then when you get to a point where there is a new decision to make or a new idea to be had, you need to learn how to iterate extremely quickly. And then find the one and do it really, really, really strongly, commit to it, and just fly down that path. Okay? And then if you need to correct again, then you need to try as many iterations as it takes and judge the result rather than what's in your head, and then eventually get there. So each one of these little iterations should be fully realized, and I'll show you what that means in a second, okay? But well, on this little like drawing right here, what these little breaks between these lines represent is moments when you're thinking about like what to do. Okay? If I had my way, what I would do is I would jump inside everybody's brain, and I would remove the brain cells that control, or I would change them. I wouldn't want to brain damage anybody. I would change the brain cells that control how long you think about something before you try it in animation. I would have everybody not thinking at all. I would have you trying it, and then moving forward. Here's another way to think about this. So many of the things that we do all the time are like instinctual and like muscle memory and whatever. The more you think about something, the less it will be recorded into your brain in the instinct or the muscle memory place, right? You just need repetition to put it into that place, okay? So a lot of animators don't have great instincts because we don't spend time developing our instincts, all right? So if you stop thinking about like, oh, should it be this high or should it be this high? Which one should I do? Just do them both really, really fast, all right? You've got animation practice out of doing it, and then as an animation, as sort of like a director or supervisory position practice, you can then judge animation. Remove yourself from that. Pretend like you weren't the person that made that animation. Just say like, I have two pieces of animation in front of me. Which one of these is better? All right, the higher looks better. Who animated the higher one? Oh, I did. Good job, me. All right, let's go. All right. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. Okay. I'm calling this I'm calling this new workflow animating with tempo. And basically, what it relies on is we make sort of like a 3D pencil test. And the reason we do that is because we want to get to the fun part of making unique and creative and beautiful timing choices as fast as possible. And even a rig that has like very minimal controls still has dozens of controls. So you get caught up in the minutia of posing, which you kind of get for free. I mean, we do our thumbnails and we have like our beautiful poses that we know are going to get into the scene eventually. So great, you have those, put those away. Now do a little bit of timing. So that's why we do a little bit of a 3D pencil test, and I call it tempo because it really it speeds up the tempo of the scene. So this scene is going to be a character that sits down on a seat, but the seat is burning hot. It's been in the sun or something, and so. Here's another thing that I'm not sure if this is going to actually go against a little bit of what your guys' like assignments are here at school. But at any rate, if I had to go back and learn animation all over again, if I could only take one piece of knowledge that I know right now, it would be to do a lot more of a lot less. So I would be doing like 48, 72 frame tests like all the time. I would do like one every couple of days, like if one a day if I could, but one every couple of days like minimum. That way you're getting even practice on your entire workflow. You're not just blocking something all the time and getting really good at like starting scenes and laying it out and composing it, and like no practice on your breakdowns and your polish and all that stuff. So but anyway, so this is going to be 72 frames max, and it's going to have basically three sort of beats to it. One is the sit. What's the sit going to look like? I'm in my head. I want it to be sort of like a ploppy, like kind of like slump and like very little like detail to it, more just like kind of like a, you know, sack of potatoes landing. And then the moment of realization that the seat is hot, and then jumping off of the seat because it's too damn hot. So my character is going to be bloke. I love bloke. Oops. Not that one. So the bloke. And so, like I was saying, like a bloke has like very, very, very few controls. Even bloke is just like to spend time in the beginning of your animation process, like posing him out, and it just takes way too damn long. So I'm actually going to just hide him, and what I'm going to do is really quickly before he's totally gone, I'm just going to build this seat, and it doesn't have to be super detailed or anything at all. I mean, really all we're interacting with is a surface. So I'm just going to place this where it needs to go, kind of, and let me just see here. All right, that's all we need him for. All right, so I'm starting an animation file, and my rig is gone. Well, that seems a little bit weird. So how the hell am I going to make this thing if I don't have my rig showing? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a helper object. In this scene, it's going to be a sphere, and I'm going to animate this instead of. Look who it is, guys. Welcome. Fantastic. All right, now we can begin. Nobody tell them the secret that I said to perfect animation every time. Okay. All right. I'm kidding. So why am I staring at a sphere right now? Well, with timing gets us like right in the center, right in the core. They're like the way that the contrast and the rhythm of motion on screen affects you doesn't matter what you're looking at. Have you guys seen gosh darn it, what's it called again? Sensology. You guys seen Sensology? Do I have sound here?
No.
No? That's all right. I'll play it out of my laptop. Stand by. So one thing that Michel Gagne has that is just like inborn is the ability to take like an object and move it in a way and know exactly like what neurons are going to fire in your audience's eyes just by like the direction and the movement and the speed and the periphery and the strength of that. He just knows how. He was the effects animator on Iron Giant, and also he animated that entire part of Ratatouille, where Remy is like, it's like, you mix the flavors, like strawberry and whatever, and like you see like the stuff like mixing and moving and whatever, it's like pow, 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 right? Like he does it perfectly. He's one of the only guys I know that like does this like perfectly. Another guy that understands kind of how the movement and the timing can have its own characteristic is a guy named Paul Lassane, who is a concept artist, visual development artist actually for Sony. Rest in peace. Sony, not Paul Lassane. And so this is this little illustration that he did when he was working on Surf's Up. So you have, this was called the surf styles, the surfing styles. So at the top we have Big Z, who was played by Jeff Bridges, right? And he sort of has this, he's kind of laid back. He's the dude on a surfboard, man, right? Find the board, man, right? Lonnie, she's got energy, but very subtle direction, okay? And you can see, where there's a little bit of sort of like energy put into it, like on these turns, like she actually kind of like put something into it, right? And you can see that by the contrast and the width right here. Tank, just look at the boom, he's just like a bullet, ba-bam, just straight ahead, 100% energy, and he's not going to change his direction for anybody. Chicken Joe, interesting thing about Chicken Joe is it looks like he has ideas, but there's like just no focus. And then there's Cody, and he's got energy and way too many directions, and his mind takes him just like way too just crazy places, and there's no synergy here. There's just like no art to the way he's doing it, but you can see how much potential there is. This is most beginning animators, all right? And then Cody at the end of the film, she's gorgeous, right? And you can actually see, this is not just like, this ostensibly, this could be the wake behind, the surfer. So could this, and so could that. But it stops being sort of figural, and it starts being a little bit more, it stops being literal. It starts being a little bit more figural as we go down here, because obviously this would not be a wake that you could leave, on a surfboard, on a wave. And then here is completely figural. It's like calligraphy. And you see his intention, and you see ideas, and you see energy, and you see realization. There's these really, and even though this is not the actual wake of his surfboard, you can totally in your mind animate the way this run went, right? You can totally see it, can't you? But this doesn't have to be just like a surf, one ride on a wave. This could be This could be anything. This could be a thief, going into a museum and stealing a diamond, right? Where he looks into the window and then sneaks in, and there it is. But oh my God, the alarm went off, and turns around. Oh my God, there's a security guard. He runs away. Oh, a brick wall, and then dives out the window or whatever, right? You could create anything you wanted that would sort of follow the energy and the flow of this. So this is part of why I feel like getting as fast as you can to your timing decisions is important in animation, and that's what you want to be drilling. Okay, so that's why I'm looking at a ball right here, because it doesn't matter if it's my rig. I don't want to use my rig because my rig has 40 controls, and it's going to take me 15 minutes to build even the simplest pose, and that simple pose is going to be probably pretty crappy. It's not going to be anything like the thumbnails that I drew. It's going to be anything like it's going to get me, anywhere where I want to be on the impact of my posing with silhouette and rhythm and composition and all that stuff. I want just the timing. I want just that visceral impact, and I want to get that, because I can get that like nearly perfect even before I bring the rig in. I can be almost done my timing before I even touch the rig. Okay, so that's why I'm using a sphere right here, and it also, in a way, it also kind of disciplines us to only look at timing and spacing, actually, because timing and spacing are the same thing. It just depends if you're touching the dope sheet or the object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on step preview, okay? And I'm going to then decide what are the moments, not the poses, because we're talking about timing. What are the moments that I am sure I want to get in here? All right. Here's another little quick trick. It might not work on this computer because of how it's a laptop, but I'm going to try to do this. Image GIF, that's fine. This guy named Cameron, I can't remember his name anymore, but he discovered that in F-Check, you can actually, GIF compression was stupid. Why did I choose GIF? In F-Check, you can actually draw by using your mouse, and F-Check actually records it. So once it's playing from memory, you can tell by mem right here, if you use your right mouse button, it actually draws. And if you hit play, it'll record it. It might not work because this is a laptop and it doesn't have as much RAM, but we'll see. Yeah, see? Yeah, it's not fast enough. Let me try one more thing. Let me try, and also black. It seems to like black a lot more. And it's going to take a little bit longer to load from disk. But what you can do is, so he had this web page. I'll try to find it if I can remember his last name, Cameron something. And he just did these like little like almost like mouse capture, like gestural like movements. So if you wanted someone, one of them was someone's being beheaded, and so he did this like little swoosh, and then like a bing, 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 like that, and it was and so from that, just this little line moving. Not only do you not even need a rig, you don't even need a sphere, like a line. Like you got the speed and like almost the arc of the knife or the sword, and then also sort of like a rough timing of the head falling. Really, actually, let me find it.
So what you're kind of saying is, with figuring out your timing, you can almost use quite a lot of impressionistic techniques.
Use optics as analogs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here it is. This is the one. Samurai style decapitation. Here we go. Right? Slice. Isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
Like this scene is like almost already done.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So
What was his last name?
Cameron Fielding. So if you go into F-check, and you might probably have to use a desktop computer. Doesn't like me. Anyway, yeah, it won't work on my laptop. But as you can see, it's moving through there a little bit. Anyway, but we get almost that far as quickly with using this as well. So what did I say? What my points were? I wanted him to sit on the chair, right? All right, so let's just kind of approximate his size a little bit. Okay, so it's like right there. Okay, so I want him to sit on the chair, right? Boom, he's sitting on the chair. I want him to realize that it's hot, right? So maybe we can just sort of approximate that by having him look at us like this. And then I want him to jump off the chair, right? So be up in the air, right? So these are my 3 moments. Sitting, looking at us, jumping off the chair. And now it might seem like this is like extremely rudimentary and that I haven't really done much work that's going to give me anything to go off of. But once we start expanding like space and making more decisions that are going to make our timing choices unique from somebody else's and experimenting within those, and realizing how iterative this approach is, you're going to see that this is actually pretty cool. So the first thing that I want to make sure you guys are thinking about is the dope sheet is so underused. It's really fantastic for this workflow. Much better than the timeline. Much better. So use it. So in the dope sheet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just decide how long I want him to be standing up before he plops down. Because without a little bit of just a tiny little bit of a hold, normally you need about 7 frames, but just a little bit of a tiny bit of time for your audience to realize what they're looking at, that sort of like plop is not going to read. So let me just do that.
Anticipation as well.
Sorry, that?
Build up a bit of anticipation as well.
Well, that's another decision, isn't it? Maybe mine will have anticipation here as well, right? And we won't know. And see what he just did. He just had an idea, right? When you're working on this workflow, you don't have that idea and then say, which one am I going to do? You do both. Okay, it's very easy to do both. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to say 7 frames, right? So on frame 8, it all starts moving. Okay. There we go. Okay, so he sits down on frame 8. But let's see now, because we have the ability. Let's see what happens now if I add 2 frames of everything and a 2-frame anticipation on frame 8. And I'm doing just the minimal amount of like adjustment to like this proxy as I would need to kind of like just a little bit more flesh out that impression that I want to give. You can't do just like a ball, just see that just a little bit of a breath of life within the figure is kind of all we need. Okay, so now let's look at it, and in fact let me move everything else back a little bit so it's not interrupting what we're doing. Now let's just watch it. All right, let's see it without again. Personally, I like it without because what I think what I feel for this shot is that he's like almost suspended there, and like it's just like his body is just like being held up almost by like a string, and he's just like slumping down on it. Anticipation is thought. Keep on spitting. Anticipation is thought, right? So thinking about sitting. I don't know if it's for this shot. All right. So he's sitting. Now, how long is he sitting before he realizes that his ass is burning? Let's find out. Let's see what it looks like on frame 30. I think it's too early. I think he looks like he's not settled yet in my mind. You can do a lot of. What I want to caution is I'm not saying that we should completely turn off the animator that's in our brain. Fill out what you're seeing with ideas, but let what you're seeing inform what you're thinking about, and not the other way around. Okay. So I'm imagining, I just gave him a lot more time. So I'm imagining him sitting this time and not just like sitting and having barely enough time for that overshoot to kind of settle. I'm imagining him like settling and maybe taking almost like a little bit of a beat to camera before he realizes his ass is on fire. So let's see if there's enough time for that. Yeah, there's plenty of time for that. Sound effects provided by the audience. Thank you. All right, now, just roughly, because we're going to do a lot more, we're going to add a lot more of the animation things that a scene will always need. But now, how long after his butt is burning does he jump off of the seat? Who thinks it's too quick right now? He's jumping off too quick.
A little bit.
Okay. Anyone think that he's too slow? Anyone think that it should be like whoop and jump off instantly? Look at that. We already have like this. That's a pretty big. That's a pretty big point at which a scene would completely go one direction or the other, right? In terms of like different animators' styles, right? So just look at that. It's funny, we don't normally get a chance to even see like what the style of the person next to you is until you're like 4 weeks into your shot and they've been working on it for a month and you're both like, oh well, we're both doing the same assignment, but that looks this looks pretty different. This way we just instantaneously in 5 seconds got to see that even within this room, there's people that would do this very differently. So, what do I think? Also, the way that this workflow works with things like video reference is very interesting because you can still use video reference, but just don't get your timing from your video reference. Take away one little thing, like little aspects here and there from your video reference. Just like the way that like your head kind of like tilted, like when you look at camera, like when you realized your butt was burning. Like take some just like little hints, little cues, lines of action, that kind of stuff. All right. But especially for work that's in the pushed realism or cartoony field, you don't ever want to look at the time code of your video reference ever. Okay, so how do I feel? I don't know. See, I kind of feel in myself. I'm split, and in one, on the one hand, like he's like, and just like totally like jumped off. It would be good. We might be a little bit more susceptible to some of the comedy we would put into it if it was longer, like. And like maybe he like boils a little bit on his butt. Let's make it later.
Or you could also have the idea where his butt remains in the seat even though the rest of him is pulling away from the seat itself and its sort of delays.
That's true. That's true. This is a third camp. Anyone want to go onto his island?
I can also see a little bit of squash and strip going, like he squishes down and immediately bounces off.
All those are going in there. Okay. So let's check this out. So I'm going to say let's do the one that I think the audience is a little bit more susceptible to, which is the later. Now, I just dragged it an arbitrary amount of time. Did you see that? I didn't say like, oh, maybe 6 frames. I just dragged it. I don't even know what frame it's on. 67?
We're on 68.
What about? Well, we look at 68. No, but that's the thing. Every single time I've moved anything, I've done an iteration. An iteration that in a traditional workflow where you're really hardcore posing up front, and it takes a long time to kind of like make any changes, would take a very long time, right? So how many times have I changed the timing already? Like 6 or 7 times, right? So let's say that we're on like our 6th or 7th iteration so far. Let's try to actually keep count of this. Okay? How am I going to keep count of this?
Pencil and paper?
Pencil and paper would be dandy.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a pen. There we go. Here, actually, you know what? You can keep your notepad. I'll just take one paper. Unless they're all attached.
Hang on. Gotta be something in the middle there.
Hang on, I got a piece of paper.
Perfect. There we go. No. I like the little taggies on it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's give ourselves 7. Okay. All right. So realize what I just did. I just dragged in an arbitrary amount of time because I'm not trying to animate this. I'm trying to make a change and as an audience member say, is this better animation or is this not better animation? Forget you're the animator. Just make a change and then watch it as somebody else. Let's try a little bit. I don't know. Let's try a little bit longer. My dough sheet display is all wacky. All right, that was arbitrary. That's 8. Let's try a little bit longer. I think this is all too long. Let's come back. Let's try this. Just a little bit more time. I'm imagining sort of like a face pose change as well. Yeah, just enough time for him to like that. And jump off. Okay. And remember, I've given myself a 72 frame limit as well. All right, so let's give myself a little bit more room. Just make sure this doesn't change it too badly on the speed of the realization. That's good. Okay, 2 more iterations. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to put some of these things in. What are the next decisions that define anything? So what I mean by that is this. So, you know how it works. So if you, where is my, what am I trying to do? Okay, so if you're looking at a curve, this is a curve that has no iterations on it, right? You have a point, you have another point, and you have another point, right? But if you're going to iterate on that, you're going to actually give yourself a little bit of definition, and then eventually it's going to get smoothed out, right? So, what do you need to define a curve? You basically need these points. But in animation, we look at, in like the curve editor, we look at some things in different ways. Right? We see this, we identify this, oh, this is anticipation. This is overshoot. Right? So, the reason I'm bringing this up is because your very next decisions should be always what is going to give you the most value for the iterations that you're doing, right? Because there are infinite number of in-betweens between two poses that you could possibly make, but what are going to be the ones that actually define something for you? So we had some anticipation on this that we tried, and I don't think it worked. What would be the next thing, the next decision that we could make to further define and characterize him slumping down right here? It would be one breakdown, or whatever you wanted to call it. I'm hesitant to call it that because it's more about posing, but it would be one breakdown that shows just how plateaued that arc is, right? Just how much he's hanging at the beginning before he actually plops, right? So let's define that position. Right, so here's him in the chair and here's him upright. So let's just define that position. So he's moved backwards, but not very much downwards. And now we can time this and see what looks the best. Right? So this is truly using timing and spacing sort of independent of each other, and in a way that sort of takes them and almost pits them against each other, actually. Because I picked an arbitrary frame to do this on, and I picked the position that I wanted it to be, and now I'm going to move it around and see what works best, right? All right, so that is almost even. It's kind of almost even. So what do we have to do? Which way does this go?
Later.
Later, to make it plateaued more, right? Okay, let's try it again. Even later. Shit. There, that's the one. Okay. It's funny, once you start working this approach, things like start smoothing together as well. It's weird. Things like, it becomes a lot easier to kind of see the final timing in your work when you're working with it. It's almost like, hey, like this little like scared kid in the corner, like, hey, come on, timing, come on out, we can be buddies. And then you're holding hands and like, let's imagine a world together where we can always be best friends. Isn't that wonderful? And then like cut to later, it's like Vietnam, you're like stabbing timing in the back. Full Metal Jacket style. Okay. All right. So that was one decision that's very interesting. That is one frame before. Very interesting. And now this realization. Now, this realization does have some thought. So it does need the anticipation, right? A little bit. It's not the reaction, right? Because the reflex, you have neurons, you have a neuron path from the tips of your fingers that goes to your spinal cord and back. And when you burn your finger, it actually sends it to your spinal column and then back to your finger, and then simultaneously from that point up to your brain, so you can move your hand before you even realize that it's hot. Our bodies are set up like that because stupid idiot humans are burning themselves all the time. So what I mean is that this is not the moment where he's reacting, so there wouldn't be no anticipation. So there should be some anticipation. I'm going to pick, you know what, I'm just to spite you guys, or to spite timing, I'm going to put the anticipation pose, like right here. Because it doesn't matter. Right? Now let's place it. What do we think? What do we think? Too fast, or sorry, too close, or not close enough? I mean, yeah, too close. So he's reacting too close. Okay, we have 1 vote, 2 vote, 3 votes. Not close enough. So like 20 of you have no opinion on this. Come on, I really want to know. This is stylistic choices. This is not right or wrong right now. This is not right or wrong.
I
I'm
kind
going
of
to
like
get
where
a
it's
second
at
to be about this bit.
myself.
Was that?
I kind of like it where it's at the moment.
And, or where it's at. Okay, so let's do it again. Everyone has to vote, okay? Too close? Like it where it's at? Okay. Not close enough. Was that your little vote over there? Did you really just scratch your nose? Come on now, dude. All right, I agree with this guy. I don't think it's close enough. And this is a stylistic thing. It's not right or wrong. Everyone's not wrong because I just did this. Come on. This is art, you guys. All right, another iteration. And I really like that. I don't know if, so I just moved it, I think 2 frames. I don't know if 1 frame either way is going to make a difference. But I'm going to watch it anyway because look, it just took 1 second to do it. All right, let's try the other side. Let's try how it was. Okay, I like it where it was. That 2 frames, the 2 frames of anticipation feels good to me. Okay, I'm going to leave this middle position because what's happening in here is I'm imagining he's sort of hamming to camera and starting to do the little like moment. We can go back and we can add that in. It's super easy. But that I want you guys to prioritize as you're iterating. Prioritize the decisions here. What's the next thing that has to happen?
The jump.
The jump. Will it have anticipation?
Well, if you want a bit of build-up, he's going to be jumping out of the seat. A bit harder to...
Technically, it wouldn't have anticipation, but you want that build-up, right? So we're starting to do the stylized, stylistic choices again. So let me just...
We were talking about this is the moment where he's mugging to camera. That is that anticipation.
Yeah.
That's him going, oh, and then going, oh.
The question is, how stylized is it going to be? Is it going to be both feet off, being launched off the seat from just how hot the seat is, or is he actually using his legs to jump out?
Okay. Well, that is a question. So this is where we were going to get. I'm going to speed up a little bit so we don't waste too much time. But this is where we were going to get. We're going to get a little bit of anticipation, right? And then we were going to kind of see probably that as much as we wanted to get, we weren't giving ourselves enough sort of like build up on that. And then, which is great because the point that we can get to after that is let's massage this middle area. So let's just do that right off the bat together here. Okay. So what I mean by that is this, and this is a little trick that I like to do sometimes when I'm working in stepped preview, which is a really awesome thing. It's right here. I'm not sure if you guys use this, but this is something that you get to do that makes this workflow beautiful. So I disable step preview. Let me put it back here and make sure I've set a key on everything. Okay. See how it's going smoothly to that anticipation? If I just put maybe 2 or 3 keys right here, kind of evenly spaced, and then enable it again, then we just got the blocked, very rough timing workflow way to adjust these things. All right, so we just very quickly created these, and now we can shuffle these around. So we can make it so that he hams evenly, like it just builds like that, or he like looks and he's just like static and then out, or the other way. So it's like immediately. Okay. So let's just try these very, 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 very quickly. Let's try all three of those and see which one we want. Okay. I gotta see which frame this starts on. Okay, so this is my first 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's these three. Okay, so let's start with the one I don't think it's going to be, where they're all at the front. Just because I have to. You might make the biggest animation discovery of your life by doing this. I don't think this is going to work. Nah. All right. Biggest discovery of my animation career thwarted, but
It has merit, though.
what's that?
It has merit.
It has merit. He's right. It is a stylistic choice that could fit perfectly into some piece of animation somewhere else.
Neither right or wrong.
Neither right or wrong. All right, let's try the other one, or let's try even. I think you guys know what I'm trying to do here. I didn't really watch the even very, very many times, so. The even, you pretty much can be guaranteed that even is boring all the time. So if there is a wrong or right, pretty much even is it. So let's just get rid of this before I get depressed. All right, now let's crunch it up over here. I think this is going to be it. So I'm not used to working like in like 90s CRT mode. All right, here we go. And if we want, what we can do is make it just even a little bit more of an adjustment. You know what? I thought crunching it up a lot would be it, but you know what? I think I liked it a little bit more, just a little bit less crunched, like that. Yeah, that looks better to me. Okay.
I kind of like a little bit more of a gap between the last anticipation.
You know what? He's on to something.
So that he does actually have that moment of maximum anticipation.
Yeah, good call. All right, let's try 2 frames. That is not as good as probably 4 frames.
Yeah.
Shit, let's try 6. We're on a roll.
Heading back to the other end. Yeah.
Let's try 5. I liked 4. But that was a good call. All right, so now last moment, he's in air, and now I think my workflow is normally to make the pose that I see to be the first pose before any overshoot is done. So it's not like the settle pose. It's like you go through this pose and then you find, that settle point. So I'm just going to arbitrarily have him like hanging in air through the end of the shot. Like that. And let's just make sure that my frame range is the same. There we go. All right. So let's just watch this. That was kind of straight ahead animated. And let's not have it loop. Cool. All right, now let's frame it so that we're getting a little bit of drama on here. That might be pretty good. Like I want him to be like, oh, like popping off and oh, like with his legs like bicycling and stuff. Ah! Yeah, might be pretty good, but pretty good might not be the best. So let's just screw around with it just a little bit. Yeah, even sucks again. I liked it better. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. Okay. All right. So now, with all your animation knowledge and all your powers combined, I am Captain Play. No, I'm not. How easy is it going to be now to just put this guy in the right place? I'll show you a little bit. We won't finish it because I want to wrap up right now so that you guys can you don't die of hunger or boredom, because this process is a little bit longer. But let me just show you the workflow from here on in. We're still in step. What I like to do is use the comma and period to set a key, at least so that I know where the next keyframe is supposed to be, so it's easier to just jump back and forth. I don't have to scroll on the timeline. It saves a lot of time. And you might want to, like middle mouse drag and hit set key, to just save yourself a little bit of posing time on there. Okay. Nice looking at us. And I might do just a little bit of animation. See-through. Where the hell are you? Just setting the keys on the chest here. We just need a tiny little bit of posing to make this actually work. Don't want to go too far. Don't want to go too far.
May I ask how you copying the keys?
I'm selecting the frame, middle mouse dragging it, letting go, and hitting S.
Okay.
Does he have FK legs? I don't think so. Oh, he does. Fabulous. Okay. So now I just want you to imagine that you're gonna start working ahead on this shot, and with this extremely rough just positioning of your rig, how easy it is to get to the point where you can then turn to your thumbnails that you've made, and then it's almost just like plugging it in. It's like, what frame are we on? Oh yeah, the big jump. Okay, well here's my pose, and let me just put it in there. It's like a coloring book from this point onwards, almost. Okay. There you have it. All my ideas are in. All my timing is in there, and you can rest assured that you're getting what you want, because the time that we're looking at is the combined total of 33 iterations, 33 adjustments to the timing that got us to where we want. And I would be very interested to talk to anybody here who can make 33 timing changes to their animation before they even pose, and is still having trouble with getting some unique fun timing in their shots. I think that'd be pretty hard to do. Okay, so remember, this is the most important part of, if you take anything that I've said today, most important part is that the workflow of the best in the world is that they can truly see in front of them all these different ideas, and then just pick the one that is going to be the best, is going to take them the furthest. In the time that we're all just sitting and wasting and trying to be perfect at every single step, they're off, they're taking a long lunch. Okay? All right, well, that's it. That's all I wanted to show you guys today. Thanks for paying attention. You've been great. Now, as a special treat, do you guys want to watch a little painter?
Definitely.
Yes, please.
All right.